This story is about a boy named Steven Stainer, an innocent and kind 7-year-old whose life took a drastic turn. Steve Stainer grew up in Merced, California, having a normal and loving childhood with his family. On a sunny afternoon of December 4, 1972, Steven was supposed to be picked up from school by his mother. However, he was abducted just a few blocks away from his house in Merced. The abductor pretended to be collecting donations for a church and insisted on giving Steven a ride home. Steven believed the man was known to his mother from Sunday service, as she regularly attended church. When Steven's mother arrived at his school and found that he wasn't there, she panicked. A couple of hours later, his parents reported him missing, as they hadn't heard from him for a long time. Steven had been kidnapped by a man named Kenneth Parnell, who pretended to be kind and generous. Parnell took Steven to his house and changed his name to Dennis, hoping nobody would recognize him. Steven was too young to understand what was happening, so he trusted Parnell. Parnell's neighbors noticed that nobody was ever allowed inside his house and were scared of his unfriendly behavior. Parnell brainwashed Steven into believing that his parents didn't want him anymore, although this was not true. Steven became extremely upset and sad, thinking his parents had abandoned him. If Steven left Parnell, he didn't know where to go or what would happen to him. Steven continued living with Parnell, hoping to be saved by his parents. Over time, he grew accustomed to living with Parnell and even started referring to him as Dad. They lived in a van where Steven went to school and met other kids, trying to live a normal life. After 5 years, Steven was still afraid to go back home. He had become accustomed to living with Parnell, but he always carried a deep sadness and a longing to be reunited with his family. One day, Parnell asked Steven to join him in kidnapping another young boy, but Steven refused. Parnell went alone and abducted a 5-year-old boy named Timmy. Steven felt concerned for Timmy's safety and wanted to warn him about Parnell's terrible actions. Steven and Timmy decided to run away, hitchhiking with the intention of leaving Parnell forever. They were picked up by a Mexican man who drove them home. The police found Timmy White, and after 7 years, Steven was finally back home safely. At the police station, Steven's mother was shocked to see him again after such a long time. Hundreds of people gathered outside their home, seeking interviews and answers to their concerns. Steven still remembered his parents and was overjoyed to be reunited with them. The media caught wind of the situation, and when Steven returned to school, he became the center of attention. Television documented his first day back, and the other kids were jealous of the attention he received. People close to Steven could see the pain that still lingered within him. Many recommended that he see a psychologist, but he refused, insisting that he was fine. Steven began talking about his life as Dennis, which made people wonder if he missed being Dennis. Dennis had become a significant part of his life, and letting go was difficult, despite his desire to do so. The police questioned Steven about whether Parnell had ever molested him, leading to a trial. Kenneth Parnell was accused of forcing Steven to engage in oral sex acts, which Steven eventually confirmed. Parnell was sentenced to 7 years in prison. Kids started calling Steven derogatory names, and he turned to drinking and smoking. He had multiple girlfriends and got married at 19 years old, eventually having 2 children. According to his family, Steven was a great father who loved playing with his kids. Sadly, Steven's life was cut short when he was killed in a hit-and-run motorcycle accident. He was only 24 years old, leaving behind his young children. Rest in peace, Steven.